everybody. Welcome to Bestie Book Reviews. I'm here with my bestie, Mandy.
And I'm here with Jessica. You are making me do something I hate.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you have to choose your favorites, but that doesn't change the fact that I'm your bestie. So, would you like to tell them what we're doing? Because I know you're bitter about it, but can you at least tell them?
Okay.
Okay.
Last year I got out of doing a mid-year wrap-up. I convinced Jessica nobody would want to see it. But this year, she insisted that we do it. So,
with a spin. I mean, we're doing it a little differently.
We are doing it with a spin. Mm-hmm. So here I am with my top 10 books that I've changed 15 different times that don't match. I mean, if you've watched our monthly wrap-ups, my order probably does not match what those were because it doesn't match what it was when I left this morning, and it doesn't match where it was when I was trying to put the flags in my book as I was freaking out that certain books didn't make it in the cut. And Jessica's like, oh, here we go again.
Less than 5 minutes ago.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So totally ignore the random order these books are going to be in because I'm fickle. I am a fickle bitch when it comes to ordering my books.
Yes, exactly. So this is going to be our top 10 so far through June.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm, of 2024. We're doing this as a convincing way.
It's 2024?
Did you not know that? You had me question. I almost questioned for a second. I was almost like, shoot, is it? Did I say the wrong year? But we're gonna do this as a convincing my bestie. We're gonna give each other our top 10s. We decided to do 10 instead of 6 because we know that there's a couple that the other one has read off of our list, and so we felt like our top 10 would be easier. Plus, Mandy just wanted to fit more books in.
So like, she's being so nice about this. We changed it because I called you freaking out that I couldn't leave certain books off this list.
Yeah, she did. She did. So we're gonna do this as a top 10. So we just have to choose one off the other's list to read. And we're gonna run it like a convincing my bestie. So
yes.
Yeah.
So you guys play along as well and pick a book off of each of our lists to read.
Exactly. So, okay. So are you ready? These will be in order, by the way, from 10 to 1. Right. Now, at the end of the year,
pick your favorite child and go.
I know. At the end of the year, these books may not even be in sight. I mean, it changes constantly. So,
wow.
Yeah. Well, my top couple will be my top few still. Okay, a lot can happen in 6 months.
I know. I'm feeling really bad about some books that didn't make the cut.
They're not going to cry. It's all good. I feel bad about a few too, but
yeah. I really love these books that I got on my list. You're so mean.
You probably should start working on your top 24 of 24 now because you're going to change it so much between now and the end of December that we're going to be in trouble.
I've tried to do that, and then I've tried to create my all-time favorite list, and I just freak out all the time about it.
Okay.
I need to do a video of my top 100 reads. Comment below if you'd like to see that.
That would be a very long video.
I can go quickly.
Even a minute for each book. That would be long.
It would be really quick. Coming in at number 100 is coming in at 99, 98, 97, 96, 95, 94.
I know how to count backwards. Thank you.
Do you?
I don't know. You have me questioning that there too. So, okay. Let's get started. So,
yes, please. You've wasted 12 minutes.
No, we didn't. There was other stuff going on. Okay, book number, I know, 10. Ready? So my number 10 is The Catcher by Kate Raven. Also, this is also Kate Ravenhall, but The Catcher. So this is about Emrys and Tanner. Tanner is a baseball player, and he's a professional baseball player, but he is like the bad boy of baseball, and he is getting himself into a lot of trouble. So Emrys is brought in to be his PR person and to get him back in the good graces of the American people. And she does that by like telling him he needs to go vegan for a while, and then he gets all mad that he has to go vegan and refuses to do it. But he's also a huge, huge bully to her. He is very cruel to her. He's mean to her throughout the whole book. But when she gets there, he's like, yeah, you're mine. And that's just how things go. Loved this so very much. Obviously, it's my number 10. So, you know, The Catcher. It's not very long either. So.
All right.
Okay. What do you got for me?
Figure 8 by Calla Reed.
Okay.
So we have Selah, whose mom is depressed and falling apart. So Selah moves home to take care of her. In the meantime, she meets her neighbor, Noah, who lives across the street. And she also meets Jackson online in a writers group. And then they actually meet in person. There's a lot of Dateline references in this book because I love Dateline. And it's set up kind of like in a Dateline style. So this is not a romance. It is a psychological thriller, and it is dark. It is really good, obviously.
Obviously. Okay. I can't find my notes for my next book. Why can't I find my notes for my next book?
Because you're making me do horrible things right now.
Apparently, yeah, it's my fault. It definitely is. Okay, there it is. All right. So my book number 9 is Possessing Eden by Izzy Sweet and Sean Moriarty. I'm just going to put it out there that we will see Izzy Sweet and Sean Moriarty in 2025.
Yay!
Yay! It's a ways away because it's next summer. So just FYI. So this is number 7 in their Disciple series, but you can read it as a standalone. It is Mafia, and it is about Eden and June. Eden has a little baby. I think the baby was 9 months old, little baby boy, and she's with her deadbeat boyfriend, and he won't give her money for diapers. He won't do anything. He's very cruel to her. He's abusive. And so she finally gets the courage to leave. She flees and goes to her uncle, who is the head of, I mean, we call him the head of a mafia, but it's not like the sexy head of the mafia. He's like the greasy head of the mafia guy. He's like a little mafia group. And he's been contacted by these other people who want him to place a mole in this nightclub to seek out information on the rival mafia. And that is where Jude comes in. He's a part of Lucifer's group. Lucifer's the head of his mafia. He's a part of his group. And she goes there to spy on him. But when he sees Eden, he is crazy. Like I like him crazy. And that is how he is. He is absolutely nuts. He takes her as his own. He claims the baby as his own. And then he's like, but we're going to have more. Like she goes to his house. He has 2 cribs, one for the baby and one for the next one he's going to put in her belly right away. Loved it. Obviously, it's number 9.
Okay. My next book, my number 9, is The 5-Year Lie by Serena Bowen. This is a hard one for me to talk about because it is still a romance, but it is also like what does it say on the front? A domestic thriller. So there's a lot of mystery in here. It is oh, look at how thorough I did on my notes.
Nice try.
I'm sorry. I don't remember her name. It's Ariel, right? Okay. Was that it?
I have no idea. I haven't read it.
I know his name's Drew. Yeah, Ariel. Okay. So our heroine is Ariel. It's told mostly through her point of view, but we have flashbacks to stuff that happened 5 years ago. And that's told in third person, and you don't always know whose viewpoint it is because we kind of have this mystery happening. So basically, the start of the book starts with Ariel getting a text message from her former boyfriend who's been deceased for 5 years. Also, the father of her son that he doesn't know exists, but he's dead. He is dead. And she gets this text message from him telling her to meet him somewhere. So she goes, and he's not there because, again, he's dead. But this starts to make her question a whole bunch of stuff that happened. and that propels the story forward. I really don't want to say anything else because it is a mystery. Don't want to give anything away. So good. So incredibly different. I mean, Serena Bowen writes really well. Like her books are very good. This is just on a whole different level from what you typically read from her.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
Number 9.
Okay. So what?
Read it.
Oh, okay. So number 8 for me is a duet. But we're going to talk about book 1. So that is Twisted Fate by Liz Hamilton. This is another one that we have an interview coming up with soon. So this is a dystopian society. This is about Emery, and she lives in this world. So this is like it's set in the future. And in this future, because of some science stuff that has gone awry, we have fated mates. And the way you find your fated mate, you've like a 1 in a billion chance of finding your fated mate. But when you do, you live longer. You look like 500 years, not crazy, but 500 years or so. So the way you find your mate is by touching skin. And so people walk around all the time with like short sleeve shirts, and you walk down the street and people are just touching. Like there is no personal space at all in this world. It is just sad. But people are either searchers or settlers. So you're either a searcher where you're searching for your soulmate, or you're a settler where you decide to settle down and not wait for your soulmate. And that is what Emrys has done. She is absolutely head over heels in love with her husband, Sebastian. He rescued her from a really bad situation when she was younger. And they are absolutely in love. But one day she is on her way home and somebody opens a door and she walks right into it. Totally something one of us would do. And when the guy goes to help her, they touch. And that is how she meets Tobias, who is her fated mate. Because the minute they touch, they know. And the way this works is when you find your fated mate, you can't be separated from them. You get sick, you get ill, like you want to be with them. But she is madly in love with Sebastian. But her body wants her to be with Tobias. And so they agree to go back into this research facility to try to find a way to break the bond. And the 3 of them go in there. It's very emotional and very, very good. It's not a love triangle. I can see it in your brain. It's not.
Absolutely not.
It's not a love triangle.
I don't trust you.
It says, if you go and read it, that it's an MFM. It is not a love triangle. Just read the book.
Me rolling my eyes.
All right.
See. My next book is Maestro by Adendar. I don't know why this isn't my number 1 book, because this should be my number 1 book, but then that would mean my number 1 book can't be my number 1 book. And this is so incredibly stressful. And I don't know why you're making me do this video.
Okay, just talk about the book.
Okay.
This
is about Aurelia and Chad. Okay. They meet when they're young teenagers at a music audition. He gives her some advice. She takes it. She nails the audition. And this kind of starts their friendship. They're definitely like opposite sides of the track type situation. She's growing up with a single mom, who is like really just busting her buns to like make this music school happen for her daughter and that sort of thing, where he comes from a very wealthy family. And this is about their romance, their friendship, their love that spans decades. So we are extremely angsty. We are very emotional because we cried a lot during this book. And there's so much interference that keeps things from just working out so well for this couple, which is real life. Mm-hmm. I loved it. So, all right. This is also tied for number 1 for me.
But you have it at number 8?
That is tied for number 1.
Okay.
With 8 others.
Oh, that's how that works. Okay.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Do not make me choose from my precious books. These are my babies. I love them. Okay. Also, did you see the cover?
Yeah, he's blonde.
This isn't black and white.
It is the same dude that Cora Riley has used on her covers. That dude is blonde. I don't do blondes. It's an immediate turn off for me.
His hair looks dark.
I think he has it highlighted on top blonde. But yeah, and he's like a dirty blonde. Where it's like darker on the sides, but on the top it's light. And here I am, a strawberry blonde, saying I don't do blonde. I just don't. I like dark-haired guys.
That's right. We learned in that other video. You like married men.
Oh my gosh, now the rumors are going to get started. Okay. Yes, my married man, my husband who's married to me. All right. Number 7.
It's okay. He is very hurt by your hurtful comments.
I'm sorry. Okay, so anyhow, my number 7, and I want to just say they're the only, what?
I got here now over pronouncing the numbers that we're on.
Just to remind you what number it is.
Trying to keep me in check over here.
Yes, I am. Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. Number 7 for me, I feel like probably will be higher on the list as the year goes on. The only reason why it's 7 right now is because it's a part of a duet and the second book has not come out yet. And that is Tangled Threads of Fate by Grace McGinty. I just read this. I mean, this one just came out, so I just read it recently. And this is about Ren. She lives, I think she lives in like Boston. But she lives somewhere in the east of the US. And she lives in a house that's divided into 3 apartments. There's a little old lady that helps take care of her, or took care of her when she was young and her parents had passed away on the bottom floor. In between is Nate, who is the hot Irish dude who lives in the middle. And then she lives on the top, in the top apartment. And one day she finds out she's pregnant. She hasn't had a boyfriend in a year. She doesn't know how she even got pregnant. She hasn't gone out and had any one night stands. She has not had sex in a year. But she's pregnant. And so things that start to happen once she finds out that she's pregnant, like monsters of certain types try to get into her apartment to kill her. Like there's something going on with this pregnancy. It's almost like it's a mystical kind of thing. It's great. It's paranormal. Swish. And that leads her to having to go to Crete because it has something to do with some gods, like the pantheon gods and all that other stuff. It is reverse harem. It is so freaking good. Mandy is doing that, but I am telling you right now, I am not doing this book any justice at all. I am so sorry, Grace. I just don't know how to explain it without giving things away, but it is so frigging good. Go read it. Although it doesn't have a cliffhanger, the other book should be out here very soon. Like in a few months soon. She's writing it right now. So what's your number 7?
Also tied for number 1.
Okay.
Darkest Sins by Neva Altai.
Which number is that?
This is number 9. This is Nira and Kai. So Nira is a mafia princess, basically, but her dad has given her a little bit of time to live her life. And so she decides that she wants to be a veterinarian tech. So she works at this vet clinic and is going to school to be a vet tech. And one day she's driving home late after closing up the vet clinic, and she sees this guy like stumbling down the road, and he collapses. And she decides to park her car and go see if she can help him. She knows it's not a good idea, but she still does it. And this is Kai. Kai was ambushed, and he's a hitman, in case you don't know about Kai yet. And he's ambushed in a situation and gets hurt pretty severely and is probably not going to make it. So she takes him back to the vet clinic and helps him, which starts his fascination with her and her maybe intrigue with him. He does not know who she is. She does not know who he is. This is a slow burn. So this sort of thing continues for a while. Kai is like, I love him. Such a great story. But what happens is Nira has to marry a particular person because of the whole mafia thing. And Kai just feels like he's no good for her, so he's just gonna kind of step back into the shadows and break her heart.
Bastard.
I know. But your favorite dude is in here, and he does something pretty funny.
He's freaking awesome. I love him.
Yes. So I don't want to give anything else away. This is definitely like probably my favorite in the series. I loved it so much. And I cannot wait for number 10.
Okay.
Oh my God, number 10.
I think it's October, right?
I think so too. The second generation, the first book comes out in July. But I want to read number 10 really badly.
Okay. All right. Next. I'm just going to hold it and love on it. That's okay. You can do that. Number 6 for me is Honeysuckles by January Rain. Mandy's just dying. She's like, I have to pick one of these books. This is Honeysuckles by January Rain. This is book 1 in her Monster Stalker series. Book 2, which is Snapdragons, came out last night, and I cannot put it down. I had to film, but I've been into it all day today. So this one is about Creed and Demi. Creed was abducted by scientist guys, bad men. And they experimented on him with splicing his DNA with DNA of monsters.
What?
Yeah. Bad men, Mandy. They're bad. So he breaks out of the facility, kills everybody after he's already been spliced. He's like part wolf, part vampire, part dragon. Like there's all part kraken, which is where the tentacles come from. All sorts of, he's got all these animal instincts in him, and he doesn't know what to do. He doesn't know how to deal with all of that. But he ends up breaking out of this facility and staying in this little town. And this town is where Demi is from. Demi runs the diner. It was her family's diner. And she runs this diner. And when he's there, like he can smell something. He knows his mate is there. He knows his beloved is there. He doesn't understand what that is, but the vampire in his head is telling him it's his beloved, which means it's his fated mate. And that is where we meet Demi. Mandy's drinking, not alcohol, but that is where he meets Demi. He disguises himself. You know, he wears a hoodie because his skin is kind of gray. He wears a hoodie and he goes in and meets her. And there's like this instant attraction between them because it is a fated mate situation. And things go from there with them. Oh my gosh. The peen situation in here is crazy. There's somnophilia in here. There's all sorts of weird stuff, but it is so good. I mean, it's crazy, but oh my God, loved it so much.
Like I worry about you.
I wanted it in my top 5, but there's so many that I can't.
Oh, so is it tied for another place?
No, I just feel like it belongs in the top 5, but so do the top 5.
That's how I feel.
But you're saying they're all number 1.
Well, I don't know how to deal with this. I don't like it, and it's just rude of you to make me do this.
I'm so sorry. Just tell me what your number 6 is.
I don't have a number sickness.
6 is.
What? Okay.
What's your next book? All My Love by Daisy Jane.
Yes, I was trying to hold on to it. Jeez. Okay. So we have Dolly. I love Dolly. So Dolly and her sisters live next door to this empty farmhouse. And when Dolly, I think she was 15, Hudson moves in with his wife and they have a baby. And then not long after the baby's born, the wife takes off and leaves Hudson with the baby, who we call Bear. And Dolly loves this man. And she forms a beautiful, beautiful relationship with Bear and will not use that relationship at all in her efforts to try and win Hudson over. And so she's just turned 20, so she realizes now Hudson is not going to see her as a silly teenager and will recognize her for the soulmate of his that she is. So all this time, Dolly has just been biding her time and getting to know Hudson bi-weekly, sneaking into his house and checking out all of his stuff. I mean, just low-key things like that, just to be ultimately prepared for their life together.
She's smart.
Dolly is a little unhinged, but she has purpose for everything that she does. And I just love her. There's also some serious kink in this book, but Daisy Jane just has the way of weaving that in without you really realizing what is going on. So, loved it. It's so good. If you were ever a teenage girl, like obsessed with a guy, you will probably really, really relate to Dolly.
Mm-hmm.
I know Jessica can.
I know Amanda can too.
Not like you.
I did not keep a soda can, an empty soda can, for like, how many years has it been now?
Well, in all fairness, it was in my childhood bedroom and just got packed into boxes that I literally have not gone through.
Okay. Okay, we can all relate. All right.
Way to spill my secrets, Jessica.
Okay, ready? Number 5. So number 5 for me is Named by M.L. Marion. This is a historical. It is set in the Old West, and it is a part of that whole Sabine Women series. Like the 7 Brides for 7 Brothers series, where the guys just, kidnap the women. So this is about Jedediah and girl or Dove. He calls her Dove. We don't know what her name is. So this poor girl, her mom died when she was 5. And because she was crying for her mom so much, her stepdad injured her throat so that she could not cry for her mom anymore. It was horrible. It just horrible. Obviously, Chuck triggers. I mean, duh.
You read some really messed up stuff.
I do. It's great. I love it. So now we fast forward to when she's older. Her stepdad didn't let her go to school. She has not been educated in any way. She's illiterate. She doesn't know. She's very, very naive. She doesn't realize that boys have different parts than girls. Like, she just has no clue. But she does odd jobs throughout the town, and they call her Girl. Nobody knows her name. She knows her name, but she hasn't spoken it since she was 5 because her mom died then and she can't speak. So she's mute. And so you have Jedediah. He's looking for this wife of his that he's going to kidnap and take home to be his forever person. And he ends up at the saloon where her father, who's a gambler and a drunk, ends up offering her to the highest bidder. And Jedediah is like, absolutely not. I'm going to just take her and get her out of here. But he ends up marrying her and taking her to be his wife to save her. But love this. I loved this so much. It's like club her over the head and take her, but in the Wild West.
Did you just tell us what the entire story then?
No.
Oh, okay. So there's more.
There's a lot like that. That whole like club her over the head and take her is only like this part.
Oh, okay.
There's so much more.
Like, did she just literally tell us the whole story?
Nope.
Okay. There's more to it then.
There's so much more to it. Yeah. Like the way he helps her live and heal and learn and read, just all the good stuff. Okay.
Okay.
What's your next one?
I like how you stopped numbering them for me.
I'm stopping to number them for you.
Okay. Older by Jennifer Hartman. Mm-hmm. So we have Hallie and Reed. Hallie. Okay. So you do want to check triggers for this one because there's some pretty horrific on-page abuse that happens to Hallie. She's growing up in a horrible home life. And she is at a party one day as a teenager to kind of escape some of that stuff that's going on at home. And she meets this older guy. There's major chemistry between them. This is set in the 90s, so they're kind of bonding over 90s music, which I just absolutely loved. And then he finds out about her age and kind of freaks and takes off. We fast forward a little bit later, and Hallie has her best friend and her best friend's mom find out what has been happening to her. And they take her in so she does not have to live in her home anymore. And Hallie's dad has recently moved back to town and is working on repairing his relationship with her. And he comes over for dinner, and it's Reed. But if we remember what I just said just like 30 seconds ago, Hallie and Reed had some chemistry together at that party and kind of really bonded. And so now Reed is in this situation of he has this attraction to Hallie, which kind of freaks him out because she's so much younger than him and his daughter's best friend. He now finds out, and he's trying to repair his relationship with his daughter. So this has everything in age gap that I love. There's definitely the taboo factor of why they shouldn't be together. There's all the angst of it, and oh my gosh, it was fantastic. It's a slow burn, and I loved it.
Mm-hmm. All right.
So that was my number 1.
Okay, so my number 4. I know you've read this one already.
Stop being mean.
Oh yeah, guys. I know you've read this one already, but it's Eclipse Ritual by Tears.
Oh, that's the one I'll pick then.
Just kidding. Read, silly goose. Okay, so this is about B, or Obedience. Her brother calls her B, and is it Ronan? Yep, Ronan. So this is another dystopian, or I'm not sure if I can't remember if she called it post-apocalyptic or dystopian. Doesn't matter. These people live in a cult in a different kind of world. And in this cult, the women every 7 years, they have basically like a wife hunt. You know, the women are on this hill. This is taboo, guys. Very taboo and dark. So like check triggers. On all my books, just do it. So this one, the women are put on this hill, and the men who want to marry that woman have to climb to the top of the hill. Then they perform some kind of ritual. They bang it out. She has to be a virgin. She's on a sheet. If there isn't blood, she's in trouble. And then they're instantly married. Well, it comes B's time, and she doesn't expect the person who gets to the top of the hill. Let's just put it that way. But they belong to this religious cult, and so there's all this other stuff happening in the background. And I'm so ready for the next book. I know Kate will have it eventually. I'm just dying for the next book. I know she's writing. I know she's working on it. I'm just
yeah, I can't wait.
Yeah, so exciting. Okay, what's your next number 1?
Oh, I'm so sorry. It's too late in the day for me.
No, we still have stuff too.
I need my afternoon coffee.
Yes. Okay.
Okay. My next book.
Your next number 1.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for finally recognizing what I've been trying to put down.
I will feed into your delusions. It's all good. That's what I'm here for.
Thank you. Well, I'm going to try and talk about this book without crying because it makes me tear up just to even think about it. I was trying to tell my husband about it, and I'm like, and then he's like, can you go call Jessica about this? I'm like, she's the one that made me read it. Okay, so this is The Cabin by Jacinda Wilder.
Yep.
We have Nadia and Adrian. They have this beautiful, epic love story. Like, you just started off and you're like, I love this couple. They're just fantastic. And they're like couple goals. Like, that would be a great way to describe them. Okay, obviously it's fiction, but still, you know. So this is not a spoiler because it says it right on the back of the book. Adrian is dying. He knows he's dying, and he is very worried about Nadia and what's going to happen to her once he's gone. So he's a writer. So he puts an epic love story in motion for Nadia. And oh my gosh, this book, it does not tug at your heartstrings. It rips your heart out, stomps on it, makes you think that it's going to give you your heart back, and then continues to rip it out.
It does have an HEA, a real HEA.
Mm-hmm.
just to know, it's not one that's going to like rip your heart out and you'll die forever.
It was so sad. I still am sad about it.
I can tell. It was very good. Very, very good.
Is it in your top 10?
Nope.
Really?
Yeah, I have.
What is wrong with you?
How much time do you have?
But your weird monster shit makes the top 10, but a very emotional book.
I don't have the emotions that you do when reading. So yes, it's emotional, and yes, I loved it, but I like my weird shit better. So sorry. Speaking of, my number 3. The Wild Man by Alex Grayson. So this is a Tarzan retelling. I love this one so much. So this is about Everly. She's been raised by her dad. Her mom died when she was young. And so her dad raised her to be able to go out into the wilderness and, you know, hike and camp and all that good stuff. And she's currently working as a freelance journalist. And the person she works for wants a story about the wild man. There's been all of these stories about this wild man who was supposedly an abandoned child out in the woods. Why nobody went to go find this abandoned child is beyond me, but okay.
Just a minor detail we need to all overlook.
Exactly. So that's what she does. She goes camping. She packs her stuff up. She doesn't tell her dad and her brothers until she has her friend tell her dad and her brothers after she's already left, or she tells one of them or something and then like sneaks off so they don't come after her. And she goes out into the wilderness. Yeah, right there.
Sorry, I don't know.
So
I need to get up and like do. It's getting slightly warm in here.
yes.
And it's like late afternoon when we're filming and it's just making me sleepy. I just need to get up and move around and get some fresh air and then I'll probably be fine.
Yeah. Okay. So she finds the wild man one day. We're not done. She finds the wild man one day and he doesn't speak to her. He just comes over and sniffs her. It's so romantic. And then she follows him to his humble abode and he feeds her. He's still not talking to her. He feeds her from his hand. He has her eat. And then she's like, yeah, well, I'm going to go back to my camp now, buddy. And he stands up and grabs her by the throat and says, mine. And then doesn't let her leave. Definitely check triggers for this one. Just remember, he is an animal. He's been raised in the woods. All right, next.
I'm just thinking I probably could have started my list in reverse order and been like, okay, like it's this top 10 is really hard because it like, they're all so good. I don't want to say one is better than the other. They're just different.
Yep.
So I tried to go with like what stuck with me like the most, but two of mine I just read. So then I'm like, and they were very emotional. So did that play into it? I don't know. What is happening?
Maybe. Okay. So what's your number one?
What?
What's your next number one?
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
It's Come Break My Heart again by C.W. Farnsworth.
Okay.
So we have
now?
What?
That's out now?
Yes, it is out now. It just came out. I got the ARC. That's why I'd read it already.
Yeah.
Okay. We have Second Chance. We have First Love. We have Forced Proximity. We have Angst. And guess what? I cried a lot.
Shocker.
Okay. So this is told in dual point of view with dual timelines. And really, you just have to go in blind. Like, is that bad to say? We have Elle and Ryder. And yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Go in blind.
Okay.
And just read it.
Okay.
It is so good.
Okay.
And it has like something that I really, really like in books, but I don't want to say that because you don't know that until you get a portion into the book. And I don't want to give that away. But just think about all of those things. Second Chance, First Love, Forced Proximity. In my notes, I said this book is destined to be a top read of 2024.
You just knew. Yeah.
So freaking good.
So good. So good. Okay. Ready?
Read it.
Okay, fine. You ready for my number 2?
Pick it.
I have to say between my number 2 and my number 1, it was very, very difficult. And what came down to choosing choosing number 2 or number 1 is number 2 technically is not finished yet, which is why I had to.
Oh, I know what it is. I know what it is.
You do know. Yeah, I mean, obviously. So that is the Frozen Fate trilogy by Pam Godwin, and that starts with The Hills of Shivers and Shadows. So if you've been here for a hot minute, you know that I beta read for the series. I'm dying for book 3. Pam's supposed to get it to us here within the next month to beta read. But she's at Book Bonanza right now and not writing. But all she does is write, the poor thing. Okay. Anyhow, So this is dark. It is set in Alaska. It is survival. It is, I don't know if she calls it why choose or even if there'll be multiple dudes at some point. Let's just put it that way. So this is about Frankie. Frankie is married and she lives in Sitka. And she is a nurse. And one day this guy breaks into her house and kidnaps her and takes her to the Arctic Circle. And she is to be their captive. She is a gift to his sons, basically. And that is where she meets the three boys who are not boys. They are grown men. And that's Kodiak and Leo and Wolf. And so they are in the Arctic just before winter. And then winter sets in. Not everything is as it seems. There's a lot of mystery. There is a lot of questions, like questions we still don't have answers to. This series is, oh my gosh, it is everything. Like, this first book is over 700 pages, and I could not, for the life of me, put it down at all. I read it within, I think it was 3 days, and that's only because my kid was in the hospital, and I had to stop every once in a while. So, there you go. Okay. What is your number one? Again.
The Fall Before Flight by L.M. Halloran.
Okay.
So I read this in early January, and it is still going strong in my mind and on my list. So I feel like this is a very strong contender for the end of the year already for a top read of 2024. So we have Amelia. And this whole book is from her point of view. And she was in an accident and she swears it was an accident. But things are a little sketchy about exactly what happened. And we have to remember, she is now in a treatment facility. It's very swanky, high end. It's called the Oasis. But she's still there. Okay. And so we have Dr. Leo, who is there and he wants to help her go through whatever has caused the trauma that's led her to be here. And so their relationship develops very slowly. And it's obviously going to be extremely taboo because he is her doctor, she is the patient. But there's a lot more going on because people don't just end up in places like this for no reason. But she believes, like she like just keeps swearing up and down. It was an accident. It was an accident. Oh my gosh, this book is so good. We really need to get our t-shirts done that say it's so good.
Yeah, we do.
So I loved the pacing in this book. I loved how their relationship developed. It felt, I don't want to say natural. That's a weird word, but the pacing was just really good. It made sense that he started to have feelings for her and she had feelings for him. I hate these types of books where it's like she walks in and all of a sudden his morals go out the door and he's like, I love you. I hated the medicine man.
Yeah.
I don't like that. I'm sorry. I don't like to talk about books that I don't like very often, but I didn't get it. I know people loved it and I'm very happy for them. I just didn't get why he behaved the way he did. Like, I just didn't get it. This book, oh my gosh, it is so good and it just lays it all out for you. And I'm just repeating myself now because it's just that good. You just need to really understand that. I loved it. Loved it. Loved it.
Okay.
That's why it was my number one pick.
In the number 2 spot. Okay. So this is my number one. This is a trilogy. It is a completed trilogy. It does not have a lot of reviews on it or ratings, and it blows my mind that more people have not picked this up. And that is the Ember Glen trilogy by Bryn Ford, which starts with Spark of Madness. So this is set in a post-apocalyptic society. Again, it's in a cult. I must have a thing for that. I'm sorry, I just do. But this is about mercy. So in this religious cult that they're in, they have women are either one of two things. You're either a domestic or you're a servant. I think is what they called them. It was the servants. Yep, servants are domestics. If you're a domestic, you get married, you have the babies, but you don't have physical relations with your husband. They're not allowed. So you have to get pregnant by in vitro, or you take one of the babies that these servants end up having, because the servants, once a month on the full moon, service the men in any way, shape, or form they want. So if the man wants to beat them to death, that's okay. If they run, it's a sin, even if they're going to get killed.
Why are the men and like women okay with this?
They're brainwashed. They're very, very brainwashed.
Okay.
Got to read the trilogy, and you find that out in the third book. So, they're very brainwashed. So something happens at this one purging night, and Mercy sees something that's pretty violent, and so she runs. And when she runs, that immediately makes her a sinner. And so then they have to punish her. Well, the way they punish her, because they feel like her mom got in trouble and was burned at the stake for things that she did in this group. Yeah. So the way they punish her is they set her up to go through these 3 trials. Nobody has ever survived these 3 trials. One of the 7 guys that rule this community, and he's under 2 or 3 elders, I can't remember how many, or 2 or 3 like prophets or whatever, is Arlo. And Arlo is tasked with being like her, not mentor, but he's supposed to train her. He's supposed to watch over her. And there's so many times in this book when I thought, how are they going to get out of this situation? How is this going to get better? Like, how are they going to get past this? How is she going to survive it? How is he going to fix this? And the anxiety was just, it was so good. The whole series.
Okay. So The Spark of Madness was your number 1 book?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Okay. Yeah. So what's your...
I thought my number 1 book was going to make an appearance on your list.
It was probably one that I wrestled with quite a bit. But we'll see. What is it?
I'm not telling you. You have to guess.
How am I going to know?
Guess.
I've got no clue.
Ready?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, no, I took those off a while ago.
Really?
I like them, and they're probably, like, if I had to do my top 24 right now, that would have been in it, and so would the one before it, but yeah.
Okay. So right now, this is in my number 1 spot, but again, I could flip the order on all of these books. Yeah. This one just is the lucky book that ends up on number 1 right now. The Fucking Wrong Date by C.R. Jane. I love the humor that C.R. Jane brings to this series with these dark, obsessive hockey guys. So I just love it. I loved this one. And the reason, this is probably my favorite in the series, and the reason being is all of the communication, the text back and forth between Walker and the other guys, like Lincoln. And the whole like Disney nickname and all of that. I just absolutely love it.
Grandma Airways.
Yes, and Grandma Airways. So we have Olivia, who's just had this horrific upbringing. Her mom is just awful and basically has allowed her to be horrifically abused so she makes them money through her singing career. It kind of really reminded me of a lot of the Britney Spears type stuff that's come out. And so we have her, and so she's just refused to perform, and they control her life and won't let her have any freedom until she starts performing again. She goes to a hockey game with a family member, and her and Walker make eye contact from the rink, and he's like, that's it. That's all it took for him. He is in love with her. And if you remember from the other book, he's talking about like, I'm going to be a dad. And they're like, oh, really? And he's like, yeah, she just doesn't know that she's going to have my baby yet. And I mean, like, whoa, what's happening here? Yeah. So loved this so much. And there's just so much that happens. And Walker, he's hilarious, but he also cares so much for Olivia and will burn the world down for her. I loved it. I loved the humor. I love the relationship that the guys have, and that we really got to see so much more of that in this one. So that is why it's on my number 1, but you all know I'm very fickle and I could reorder this all the time. And then I'm staring at books that are on my list, like the Summer series by Elizabeth O'Rourke. And I'm like, no, that should have been in my top 10. Several of my Emma Scott books, I'm like, no, those should be in my top 10. The Mindfuck series, no, that should be in my top 10.
How is that not your number one?
I don't know what happened. I really, really don't like this because all of these books were so good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The Iron Tiara, super good.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay,
well,
we need to refilm. I have to try and figure this out.
That means
like it's not fair to these other books.
We have to stop looking at your books, and you have to choose one to read off of my list. I have to choose one to read off your list. Mm-hmm.
Well, you gave me such an interesting variety to pick from.
Yep.
I have it narrowed down to 4.
Okay.
So, well, I think on those 4, where are you at?
I'm going to read the Serena Bowen book.
Oh, wow. Just done. Just done. Like that.
Just like that. Yep.
Huh.
So that's the 5-year life.
Why didn't you pick any of the others?
Because we have to read this book in the next 4 days and there's no audio for the other books.
Serena Bowen has audio for it?
I think so. I think it came out the same day as the book.
Oh,
if not, then I'll figure it out.
Then
but between that one, I mean, it was between that one and the Audendar book because I do already actually own the Audendar book. But
oh, Maestro. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. But
you also really need to read Figure 8 by Cal Reid.
I know.
It's really good too.
Yeah. But I'm gonna go with Serena Bowen.
Okay, I guess I'll go with The Wild Man by Alex Grayson. It was between that and The Catcher, Possessing Eden, and Maimed.
Yeah, of course it was none of the weird ones.
Oh, so you're finally admitting. Thank you.
I know.
I appreciate you finally recognizing that situation.
Love my weird books. All right, guys. We're going to go read these books and we'll be back. All right. So we've read our books and we're back.
We did. So we'll just get that out of the way. I tried some new eye makeup. I had a horrible allergic reaction. And this is what I look like now.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully someday it'll go away.
I'm sorry.
Oh, it is what
this is why we talk about doing a get ready with me video, but it'd be very short. I think there's not a lot of getting ready that we do. We don't normally do a lot of makeup. So now we're nixing mascara from Andy. It's out. So, all right. So you read The Wild Man.
I did.
And
I didn't really care for the first half of it.
I can see that.
The last half I did like.
Mm-hmm.
So I would rate it a 4. I'm not a huge fan of retellings, though.
No, you're not. No. I like them if they're done right. But they're not really your thing.
But no, it's still a solid 4.
Okay. Yeah, I'm anxious to read some of her other stuff that I was seeing. It looked really interesting. But they're not retellings, though. So we'll see. Okay. So I read The 5-Year Lie.
Yes. How'd you like it?
It was good. I listened to the audio instead of physically reading it because we're just a little busy. And I think I missed a few things here and there. You have to pay attention. I think because I was listening and not reading along, which normally I read along as well. I think it's easier to miss something in a book like this, but it was really different. It's different from what we normally read. It was really good. I'm giving it like a solid 4, and that's probably my own stupidity for missing certain things. I can see why it's on your favorite list like so far of the year. It was good. I really enjoyed it. It took me a hot minute to get into it, but then once I did, I was like, okay. So, yeah. It's worth the read. Definitely different from anything Serena Bowen has done.
Yeah, but you would not, if you've read Serena Bowen and you read that book, you would not be like, oh, this is a Serena Bowen book. Like, It's not. You're like, what? Serena Bowen wrote
Yes.
this?
Yeah.
Very different. That's really good.
It's really, really good. So, yeah, the spice level's low, but that is not necessarily what I go into a book looking for. I mean, there is spice, don't get me wrong. It's just typically, it's lower than what Serena Bowen normally does, but it worked for the story. The story keeps you on your toes and it keeps you guessing.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. I liked it a lot. So, all right.
Okay. The Benadryl's kicking in. I need to go.
All right. Let's go. Let's wrap this up. Do your thing, Mandy.
All right. Make sure you check back on some days and watch videos that we do. Okay. Make sure you check back on Mondays, Thursdays, and Saturdays for new videos from us. And also make sure to hit that notification button so you can know about surprise videos that we like to drop all the time. And we have some really good author interviews coming up. So you definitely want to be in the know about that.
Definitely. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.